Welcome to the Outstanding Women Leaders Podcast, or OWLS.
We give a hoot.
I'm one of your hosts, Kristen Aguirre, a former journalist turned young stroke survivor, now hustling to make my dreams of becoming a national speaker come true. I'm currently jobless, but not loveless. I have a 5-year-old French bulldog named Becca, which means cow in Spanish, and she is the love of my life. And my motivation every morning to wake up and work hard. I want to buy her a house with a big backyard because she says this apartment life is not for her. Now I'm accompanied by my resilient and quirky co-host, Katie Eads, who, like a cat, has 9 lives when it comes to careers and relationships. Girl, really quick, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Kristen. As you mentioned, I am a little quirky, hilarious, you always forget that part, co-host and founder of OWL Professional Coaching. After a sudden divorce and heartbreaking sale of my first business, I left my life behind, packed up my car, and drove halfway across the country to take on the Big Apple. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Of course, I couldn't afford the $20 toll, so I'm stuck on the other side of the Hudson in Hoboken, New Jersey. That's right, I'm a Jersey girl. I refuse to pump my own gas. After proclaiming 2020 my year and launching the Outstanding Women Leaders podcast with my girl Kristen, of course, Corona hit, which has been great for us. Things are going well.
Right.
Our vision today is really to connect with outstanding women leaders around the world, share their story, and inspire you to give a hoot. We're on a mission to empower you to be your brave, bold, unique self. Each week, we release new episodes featuring outstanding women leaders from around the world. You can follow us on Podbean at Outstanding Women Leaders. And if you're an owl who gives a hoot and wants to share your story on our podcast, you can contact us on Instagram at Outstanding Women Leaders. Let us know. We love to have you on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But enough about us. If you're ready to feel the presence of faith, share a few laughs, and possibly a few F-bombs, let's go.
Today's guest is Yvette Marquez. She is an Emmy-winning producer, writer, award-winning food blogger, and the author of Muy Bueno and Latin Twist. She's a second generation Mexican-American born and raised in El Paso, Texas, and currently lives here in Colorado. She's been sharing cherished family Mexican recipes since 2010. You can check out her website. She's also a wonderful mother. Her kids are always on her Instagram. Yvette, you've been making me hungry for at least a year now. I follow your Instagram religiously. And today is Cinco de Mayo, so I know you have a lot of stuff set up.
I do. Well, thank you for having me, and Feliz Cinco de Mayo.
How did you get into starting to make cooking your life, your livelihood?
What's funny is growing up, I did not want anything to do with the kitchen. I would see my grandma always in the kitchen, my mom in the kitchen, and that was just where they always were. And I was like, I'm not going to be that woman. And my grandma would even tell me, she would always say, que no me voy a casar, that I'm not going to get married because nobody's going to love me because I don't cook. But
everyone's grandma tells them that.
Right. And so then it was until I had my own children and realized, oh my gosh, I got to keep these traditions alive. And our traditions are all centered around food. And our culture, and I didn't realize what we had until I left El Paso. I just assumed that everybody gathered the way we did, and you realize that that's not the case. Not everybody celebrates around food and has big families and hundreds of cousins. And
oh my gosh, I know.
I have 9 people.
I realize how special the Latino family is and are embedded in our culture until I left home and I met other people. I'm like, wait, you don't talk to your family 800 times a day?
Exactly.
You don't have Sunday dinners and celebrate birthdays nonstop. That was just what I grew up and knew. And it wasn't really until I left home that I realized how special that was and how much I love that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I think, and it'll wait till you have children, because then that's when you realize you got to continue those traditions. So that's exactly where the inspiration came, once I had kids. And then as my children got older, my daughter, who was 8 years old at the time, so that was in 2010, she's the one who said, you should really write down these recipes and make a cookbook. And that's when I was a full-time graphic designer, and I was like, oh, that's a cute idea. I'll do a little Shutterfly cookbook for my family and give them out as gifts. And then as I started sharing recipes on Facebook, people are like, "Ooh, I want that recipe. I love your grandma's enchiladas, or I love your mom's, tamales, or whatever it was." And I was like, "You want my family recipes?" So that's when somebody else gave me the idea to start a blog. And at the time, I had no idea what a blog was. That was in 2010. And it's hard to believe that my daughter said she wanted a cookbook for her to take to college to graduate. And this is the year that she's graduating from high school. So,
oh my God. You do not look like you should have a daughter who's graduating from high school.
why, thank you.
So you started a cookbook before YouTube?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
Started your cookbook before the YouTube channel?
Yes. Yeah. I started 2010, I started the blog. And then the published cookbook was in 2012. And I really didn't get serious about filming until about 2012, right? As the book was published, we did a little book trailer. And then from then, me being a former graphic designer, just loved the art production and visual aspects of styling food and just making it prettier than just the food and telling the story. Right. And so that's when I really started getting into videos. I just wanted to do something different with videos.
Mm-hmm. What really pushed you to do all this? Like, were you able to leave your graphic designer job and just do this?
In 2012, right as the book was being published, I got laid off from my job. And so at that time, I was just starting to get brands who wanted to partner with me. When I started the blog, never, ever, ever did I do it because I thought it was going to turn into a business. I had no idea. I just figured it was just a great place for me to share my recipes, because people are like, I want that recipe right now. And I don't want to email it to like 200 of my closest friends, Right. So I was like, okay, it'll be here and you guys could just, look for whatever recipe you want. And so then brands started contacting me, like avocados from Mexico. Would you like to go to the Food and Wine Festival in Mexico and represent our brand? Okay. Yeah. And so then I was like, wow, like I'm a brand. I like people want to work with me. People, like my stories and like my recipes. And, at the time I was not a culinary chef. I never wanted to ever portray that I was. I wanted to make sure that these are home cooked meals, either from my grandma or my mom. And I'm just continuing to share these recipes and trying to make them easy. And I love that brands wanted that same story. And so when I was laid off, I begged my husband. I was like, please just give me a chance. I think I can make this a business. If anything, I still can do freelance graphic design on the side, but I really, really want to see where this can go. And so that's how it started. And I hustled and I was like, okay, if one brand was interested in me, I'm going to start writing a proposal, which was, my other part of my business. I was marketing and graphics. So I learned how to write a proposal and how just to pitch myself for magazines, for brands, and say, and it's so funny when I look back, I had like the whole, I have 1,000 views per month, that was, but I was so confident in my story and people loved, the photos. And I think it's all about, first impressions. And I think that's what's really helped me as a graphic designer, that I wanted something pretty, colorful, and to just pop. And so people loved it and it's worked out.
Where did you channel that confidence from? Because I know a lot of people who see this and think, oh, I can do that, but then they're too scared to take the leap. But you're just like, no, I'm doing it. Where did you get that confidence from?
And what's funny is I think about it now, and because people are always telling me, how do I start? How can I just, write a book, or how can I start a blog, or what do I do? And I think I just didn't overthink it. And I just really was so passionate about sharing my story that I really didn't worry about who was going to read it. I didn't really worry about, is anybody, when I first started getting comments, I was like, wow, like that was just amazing that people found me.
Right.
that were leaving me comments, complete strangers, and telling me how they were, looking for their family recipe, and they Googled it and they made it, and it reminded them of their grandma and their mom, and how they're just so happy that they found similar recipes to tie them to their culture. And, so I always say, like, don't look around, just do you. And if you're passionate enough, other people will see that passion.
Definitely.
I love that. I want to know more about these proposals and pitching and just feeling like I have 1,000 views, but I'm going to go after these big people. Tell me more.
So I think I can honestly say, like, my media kit, I designed a media kit, and as a graphic designer, I was like, if anything, it's going to be pretty. So, people are going to get my little PDF and be like, who is this girl? So I just looked at examples and figured, okay, this is maybe not what my strong suit is, but what is strong. And so it was just more about pretty visuals for me to show to clients. So I would send it to, I figured my thing is always like, just why not? Just go for it. Because all they could say is no.
Right.
They're never going to be like, oh, there's that girl that one time pitched me a year ago. Nobody's going to remember you. They're either going to say, like, oh, cool, or no, thank you, or just ignore you. So I always say, just go for it. And the worst that they can say is no. And I would send, to Taste of Home magazine, Betty Crocker, Better Homes and Gardens, just all of these magazines that I loved, or brands that I loved. And then eventually some were like, ooh, we want to feature your spread in our Cinco de Mayo issue, or, Day of the Dead issue, or, and a fall issue, and do Day of the Dead. And so then that's how it started, because magazines now are searching for free content. So you're going to present them, a great story. And if it's something that you're not, for me, magazines, as a graphic designer, I love print. So, I'll do print for free any day. So if I can give you a story and you can photograph my dishes and share about me, that's just free advertising.
Right.
So, so that's where I figured, I will do that as free press. And then I would also write to places like one of my first contributions was to Betty Crocker. And so then they ended up hiring me as a contributor, and I would develop recipes for their website. And it wasn't a lot of money at the time. And, but for me, it was like, wow, I'm on Betty Crocker.
Yeah.
And then it turned into, and with these brands, you never know who they know. And I've realized that in the food world, like Betty Crocker is owned by General Mills. So then I started working with General Mills. So, it's a whole umbrella of different brands that work together, and it could turn into bigger and better things.
As you've grown, have you gotten any insecurities, like, because you're not a professional chef?
Yeah, for sure. Even just yesterday, I did Instagram Live, and I'm so spoiled because I've always said to invest in your business, this is your business. And so right away, when I started working, when I knew I wanted to do videos, I found a videographer, and he's amazing. He comes to my home, sets up all these great cameras and lighting. And yesterday I had to do, an Instagram Live, and without my videographer, it's like, so, so then I was thinking, oh gosh, this is going to look horrible. But I did it, and it was real, and I think that's what's kind of nice about this time right now, is that people want to see the real you, and not be so glam and, lighting perfect. And so that's what's helped me during this time, is like, what, it's not always going to be a perfect and pretty picture.
How have you pivoted your business during this time, or have you had to?
Just like you said, this has kind of been a great time. This has been a great time for me. I'm getting so many new followers and subscribers because people are at home cooking.
Yeah.
So people are searching recipes and people are finding me because they're like, oh wow, you're from El Paso, I'm from El Paso, or or people just looking for comfort foods, Mexican food. During the cold days, there was a lot of soups, and I have a banana bread recipe that went viral.
Oh yeah, everybody's making
really good.
Am I the only human that hasn't made it yet?
I haven't made it either, but I will make Yvettes.
I make my own taco shells.
Oh, that's very good.
Because I don't eat corn, so I make them with arrowroot because I'm gluten-free, grain-free, all the fun things.
That's awesome.
Makes me sound fancy.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm sure if you Googled, gluten-free corn tortilla shells or whatever, or, tortilla, you'll find that one person that you'll really connect with. And so that's what's happened with me. Some people are looking for that one thing, and I'm finding new followers during this time, which has been really neat.
How has your family played a role in your business? Because I love when you have Blake on. He's so cute.
I know, he loves it too. He's so funny because he's just natural. He loves to. And it's so funny. And I didn't realize how, because he grew up with this. With Maya, she was already 8 years old. Where Blake, he kind of grew up with me on camera and him being on camera. And I remember when he first, I think he was about 6 years old or 7. And I remember I was taking a picture of him in his little football uniform. And so then he gets the football and he's like this, like with the Nike symbol perfectly. And then I was like, Blake,
he knows.
Just hold it like a football. He's like, oh, I didn't know if Nike was sponsoring you.
Oh my God.
So he knows, like, okay, this is California strawberries, or like he just is very good at knowing.
He knows all about branding.
Yes, and so he's
ready.
It's so funny, but he just is like a natural little helper. Like this morning he got up. He's like, "Are you excited for your video today? I'm going to help you, right?" I was like, "Yes, you're going to help me." I was like, "But first, get your work done." So that's been the struggle, is trying to keep them focused and have them continue their schoolwork, and then they can help out.
How is it being a stay-at-home mom, working, getting kids through school? What's that like right now for you?
I mean, thank God for my husband. I mean, he's very good at, I think we both specialize in different things, and he's very good at following up with their classwork, figuring out, what's due today, what haven't you done? And so he's very good at that. I'm good at like questions throughout the day. So if, my son was just asking me about his Spanish, it's like, okay, so let's work this together. So luckily, I'll help him throughout the day, but my husband's very good at like, okay, the bigger picture. So it's all about a tag team, and, it's challenging, but what's nice is that we're all together. I was just telling we were having dinner, it was breakfast the other day, and more like brunch because we all woke up late and ate this big pancake spread. And so we, we're just talking and just so relaxed. And, my son Blake asked, what is it about this time that you've learned to love, or that you've learned, or that you found about yourself that you're really good at? He's like, I think I'm really good at cooking. Like, I'm a natural. So I think
love Blake.
Yeah, this time is bringing like new talents to them. My daughter's always been super artistic, but now during this time, she's really diving into it, and she's painting the mural in my office. And so
awesome.
I think we're doing a lot more things, have more time to do the things that we really, really want to do versus, never having the time to do it. So, but what was my point with that? I don't even remember.
It sounds like you're surviving well through Corona. It's nice to hear people talk about their families and being together being an opportunity and a highlight versus the stress that some people are experiencing.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, is that, we're always racing. You know, my kids are super active in sports. My son is in baseball and football. My daughter's in softball. And, you know, every weekend we're waking up early to go to the ball field, and we'll be there all day for tournaments. And so we were eating breakfast or brunch that day. I was like, you know what? Secretly, I've wished, you know, that we can just relax and, you
Slow
know,
down a little bit.
slow down. And so like, so you wished for this?
It's a nice opportunity to pause and spend time with family. I'm curious about your business. You said when you first started that you said, don't overthink it. It was just me sharing. How has that evolved as you've evolved into more than 1,000 views now?
How's it evolved?
Yeah. How is your authenticity changed? Has your voice changed? Do you overthink things or think a little bit more now that you're a little bit more established?
I think it's easier to say no to things, you know, where in the beginning you're hungry and you kind of want it all, you know, and you think, okay, I need to pay this bill. So yeah, I'll do it, you know. And when I first started, there was no Instagram. Pinterest was just kind of starting. So there wasn't those opportunities to make money with those type of things. Now I think when you see all these influencers, it's very easy to share a product on Instagram that maybe your heart's not really in it. And so I think I'm kind of glad that it worked out for me when it did, because with blogging, it was a whole process. You know, I have to write about it. I have to, you know, really share the story on a blog post and then share it on Facebook and Pinterest, Instagram. And if it wasn't a brand that I truly, truly didn't love, you know, it was easier for me to say no, even though it was tempting. And I'm not saying that there was times that I still went ahead and said yes, because I did loving the brand. But was it truly, truly authentic to me? Probably not. I mean, there was a salsa that, you know, I'm all about making your own homemade salsas, don't buy jarred salsas. But there was a brand that legit was good. I would have never bought it because that's just not who I am. But when they sent it to me, I was like, this is pretty damn good. And so then I shared it. And some people are like, ooh, I love that salsa. I buy that all the time because I don't have time to make my salsa. So I got that, you know, those people who were like, yes, we appreciate that you're sharing quick tips, because not everybody has the time to roast their chiles and do all this stuff. But then there's the other people like, oh, so I thought you made your own homemade salsa. So, you know, you have to, so you have to be careful of who your followers are, or if you're going to attract new followers, or if it's, I mean, I get so many things that I just got a heartburn medication thing that people, you know, that wanted me to, I was like, I don't have heartburn, you know, I could probably say that to you.
If you don't follow my recipes, you will need this. I think that's a good pitch. Maybe you could do that.
I've worked with like a high cholesterol branding company, because high cholesterol does run in my family. And it wasn't so much about talking about, you know, their methods or their things, but how do I help prevent high cholesterol? So it was just easy for me to say, you know, I love avocados. I, you know, exercise, you know, throughout the week. You know, this is, bless you, this is how I maintain high cholesterol. So there's, you know, if it makes sense, I will do something, but I really have to think about, you know, is it worth it? Is it make sense for my followers? And am I going to be proud of it in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now?
Sure. What gets you up every morning to get your business going? Like, what keeps making you, inspiring you every day to create?
Luckily, I'm busy enough to like, okay, now I have deadlines. So I have, you know, I'm like a full-on little magazine agency. You know, I have my editorial calendar. I have my projects for my brand. So, you know, I have to show up. I have to, you know, I have clients that are expecting things on certain days. I have drafts. I have, you know, publishing dates, and I'm a lean team. You know, I do have some people helping me. I have a couple of virtual assistants, but for the most part, it's still me. So I have to show up or I don't get paid. You know, I tell people, it's like, you know, when people are like, oh, just take a day off. I was like, I work a lot, and thankfully I love what I do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I learned how to unplug. You know, there's times when I first started this, the kids are like, you're always on your phone. And I was like, oh, I know. And so, but it was hard.
How do you unplug?
It's really hard. It's really, really hard. I mean, but and even now I do it more often that I get mad at my husband. It's like, get off your phone. We're watching a movie, you know? Like, so, you know, it's just, I try when we're all together not to be on my phone. Mm-hmm. And that's the rule we've done at the dinner table. You know, it's like no electronics. We sit at the dinner table. So we have some rules that we have set, and, you know, they catch me where it's like, okay, let me just take a picture of it before we eat. And they're like, Mom, down and eat. So, you know, they're always getting mad at me instead of me getting mad at them. So
yeah. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule day on Cinco de Mayo of all days to share a little bit about your story. I got to ask, what's your favorite recipe? What are you having for Cinco de Mayo today? What's your dinner?
Well, today I'm going to be on Instagram Live at 3 o'clock. So 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'm going to be making cowboy caviar, which is basically like a black bean salad full of veggies. So it's a nice, you can have it as a side dish or as an appetizer with some chips. I'll also be setting out like I'm all about fruit cups. So like with Mexican fruit vendors, you know, just like fruit sticks.
Oh, yes, the mangoes, please.
Yes,
yeah.
Mango, jicama, cucumber, watermelon, papaya, pineapple. So I have all these little fruit already cut up. So I'm going to put them in sticks and put them in cups. And then all my kids can just, you know, put lime juice and the tajin powder and just own. And then I have some carne asada marinating. So we'll grill them.
Yes. Well, I'll be over at 3 for dinner.
I know. Come on over.
I love that. I made homemade salsa with tomatillas, but I didn't roast them. I boiled them. I cheated a little bit.
Oh yeah, I've done a little competition between salsa verde, roasted or boiling, and the boiling one.
So. The boiling one. All right. Look at me. I'm on my way. Thank you so much.
Where can people find you?
So my blog is muybuenocookbook.com, and my Instagram is muy bueno cooking.
Your Instagram is so pretty. I love it so much.
It is. And I stalked your website a little bit too. It's also beautiful. I felt very intimidated by some of the drink recipes. I'll confess, I was looking for a good tequila drink.
Oh yeah. Well, I always say when it comes to margaritas, fresh ingredients, like do not give me no sweet and sour mix.
No, I have a whole bag full of limes. I'm ready to go, but I don't know about the roasting of the citrus. I don't know if I can do that. That might be above my pay grade.
Fun, though. I mean, if you love like that roasted flavor.
I do. The mezcal.
Yes.
What's your favorite family recipe?
Oh, my favorite family recipe. I love enchiladas. Like
me too.
Enchiladas. So it's like every Friday it was a tradition to go to grandma's house and have her red enchiladas.
Yes.
And her red enchiladas were so good. And my mom like specialized in green enchiladas, but her green enchiladas aren't like the typical like salsa verde, like tomatillo base. They're roasted green chile. So it's like long green Anaheim or hatch chile. And oh my gosh. And she adds suero, which is like a buttermilk. And so they're like creamy, spicy.
Yes.
So good. Really, really good. So enchiladas, red or green, give them to me.
I'm actually really good at making red enchiladas. That's like my go-to dish because it's super quick and easy. One time we were going to like a big party and my boyfriend was helping make them, and I left him like little stickies around the house, like how to start putting them together. My friends are like, you're at brunch and you're making Darren make these enchiladas. I'm like, yeah, they turn out, you can't mess them up. It's meat and cheese and tortillas. Like, not go wrong.
And do you roll your enchiladas, or how do you
do? I roll mine. Well, when I'm at home with my grandma, we roll them. I guess it depends what you're using, because corn we stack.
Oh, okay.
We roll.
Oh.
One time I tried to roll corn and they all cracked. Do you roll yours or stack yours?
We've always stacked them.
Really?
Yeah, so
Ooh, I
that's
should try the stacking.
yeah, so that's the thing. And we've never made enchiladas with flour tortillas. So
Oh, really? You've only used corn?
only corn.
Oh, yeah. We've used basically flour and just occasionally corn.
Did you grow up California or?
No, I grew up Chicago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of California do flour enchiladas.
Oh, really? Yeah. And my family's actually from Laredo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, that's just what we've been. I mean, I don't complain when they make it. I just eat it.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what I always tell people. We're like, oh, we're intimidated to invite you over for Mexican food. It's like, I eat it all. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna.
You can't go wrong. I'll eat
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yvette, thank you so much. You were so much fun today. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Now, if this episode inspired you, don't forget to share it with someone else or take a screenshot and share it on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and tag us at Outstanding Women Leaders.
Yes, and don't forget to support a local nonprofit today. During this time, they need you more than ever. Today is National Giving Tuesday. It's usually right after Black Friday, but during this time of COVID, nonprofits are really struggling. So go out on Facebook, find your favorite local nonprofit, and make a donation today.
And our small business plug today is, of course, Muy Bueno. You can follow her on Instagram at muybuenocookbook.com.
Yes. And one last question we each have a question we like to ask our guests before we let you go cook. What is your superpower?
Multitasking.
You have to have that in the kitchen. I am terrible at that one. I mean, I'm cuts all over my fingers. Multitasking.
Okay, my question is, what advice would you give your younger self?
Patience, which I'm still trying to learn myself.
Well, we all are.
We are. And I think this is a great time to learn that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all are trying to accomplish so much and get rewarded so quickly and don't give ourselves the time or the patience to let things work itself out and to have that faith that somebody bigger than us has a plan and just believe.
God has it all sorted out up there. No matter what we do, that's how I feel. I'm just like, whatever, God has it.
He does. He's like, Katie will fall in love. There will be a plague on the world. This is the order it will happen.
For sure. That gave me chills.
Thank you, Yvette. Now, make sure to join us this Friday on Facebook Live for our weekly show entitled BYOB Conversations. This week, it's great conversations that really stretch out your brain muscles and get you thinking about things. Make sure to join us.
Yes, it's like, I can't wait. It's like yoga for your brain, that we're not trying to find an answer. We're not solving a problem. Our first week, we explored the purpose of COVID and the opportunities that it's presenting. This week on Bring Your Own Brain, we're sharing our experience with systems and structures. Sounds terrible. As how they relate to our relationships and work. As systems become more fluid, some of us, they're shrinking because our worlds are getting smaller as we are just inside our own homes. So we'll just be having a conversation with people around the world about where they're at in their own personal systems and structures and how they're changing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Yvette. You're the best.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.